In a world where the noise never stops, where we are bombarded by notifications, noises, and a multitude of voices, have you ever stopped to think if your silence can reach God? Are those prayers that don't become words, that are born deep in the soul, really heard? Have you ever felt so exhausted that the words to pray simply wouldn't come? Or perhaps, in the quiet of your room, with a heavy heart, you've wondered, does God really hear what I don't say aloud? If this doubt has ever crossed your mind, know that you are not alone. The feeling that our silent prayers are lost in the void is an anguish that many of us share. But the answer to this question can transform your prayer life forever, showing that silence is not a void, but rather a direct and powerful channel to communicate with the divine. We live in a culture that values what is external. We are taught to speak, to declare, to put our desires and pains into words. And although praying aloud has its value and power, it's natural to question the validity of those intimate conversations we have with God only in our thoughts. In the midst of the chaos of modern life, the difficulty in concentrating and the feeling of not being heard can create frustration and even distance us spiritually. But what if I told you that silence, far from being a sign of weakness or a wavering faith, is actually a sanctuary, a sacred space where our communication with the Creator reaches an unparalleled level of intimacy and depth? In this video, we will investigate what the scriptures, spirituality, and even science have to say to help us discover the profound importance and hidden power of your silent prayers. In the end, you will understand that God not only hears your silence, but that often it is in silence that He responds most clearly. For many, the question about silent prayer begins here. Is it biblical? Although the Bible doesn't have an instruction manual saying pray in silence, it is full of powerful examples that confirm this practice. God, who knows everything, doesn't need the sound of our words to know the intention of our hearts. Psalm 139 reminds us of this in a beautiful and powerful way. Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. Perhaps the most touching example is that of Hannah in 1 Samuel. Tormented by barrenness and deeply distressed, she goes to the temple to pour out her soul before the Lord. Scripture tells us that Hannah was praying silently. Her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. The priest Eli, who was watching her, misjudged her and accused her of being drunk. But God did not judge her. God heard her. He didn't need a single audible word to understand the depth of Hannah's pain and longing. He heard the cry of her heart and answered, giving her a son, the prophet Samuel. Hannah's story proves that the most desperate and sincere prayers often go unspoken. Jesus Christ Himself taught us the value of intimacy in prayer. In Matthew 6:6, He instructs us, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." This closed room is not just a physical place, but a state of mind. It's an invitation for us to step away from the spectacle of the world and connect with God in a personal and intimate way, where words are not the main focus. If you are alone, what difference does it make to pray aloud or silently? God hears both ways. Great prophets like Elijah also sought silence to find God, not in the strong wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in the gentle breeze, in the almost imperceptible sound of the divine presence. This solid biblical foundation assures us that our practice of praying in silence is not a modern invention, but a sacred form of communion, validated and honored by God from the beginning. In our noisy world, silence has become a luxury and, for many people, something uncomfortable. We fill every spare moment with music, podcasts, videos, and endless conversations. This constant noise is not only external, it enters us, creating an agitated mind and a restless heart. And in this whirlwind, how can we expect to hear the voice of God, which so often manifests itself as a gentle whisper? This is where silent prayer shows its second great power. It serves not only to speak to God in thought, but to create the necessary space to hear Him. Silent prayer is an act of emptying oneself. It is the decision to silence the voices of the world, the voices of our own anxiety and fears, in order to become an open vessel for divine communication. A spiritual perspective, such as that of Spiritism, through the texts of André Luis, describes silent prayer as a powerful antidote against influence.